in ourselves of our intention. So can we be clear? And does that clarity come through searching, through trying to find out what others say, from the highest teacher to the ordinary preacher in a church round the corner? Have you got to go to somebody to find out? And yet that's what we are doing, aren't we? We read innumerable books, attend many meetings, discuss, read, belong to various organizations, trying to find out an answer to the conflicts, to the miseries of our life. Or if we don't do that, we think we have found. That is, we say that this particular organization, this particular teacher, this particular book satisfies me. I have found everything I want in it. And so we remain in there, crystallized and enclosed. So we have to come to the point when we have to ask ourselves really earnestly and profoundly if the peace, the happiness, the reality of God, what you will, can be given to you by somebody else. Can this incessant search, longing, give you that extraordinary sense of reality, that creative being that comes when you really understand yourself? So does self-knowledge come through any search, through following anybody else, through belonging to any particular organization, through reading books, and so on? After all, that is the main issue, is it not? That as long as I do not understand myself, I have no basis for thought. All my search will be in vain. I can escape into illusion. I can run away from contention, strife, struggle. I can worship another. I can look for my salvation through somebody else. But as long as I'm ignorant of myself, as long as I'm unaware of the total process of myself, I have no basis for thought, for affection, for action. And that is the last thing we want. to know ourselves. Surely that is the foundation on which you can build. But before we can build, before we can transform, before we can condemn or destroy, we must know what the thing that which we are. So to go out seeking, changing teachers, gurus, practicing yoga, breathing, performing rituals, following masters, and all the rest of it, is utterly useless, is it not? There's no meaning. Even though the very people whom you follow say, study yourself. Because what you are, the world is. If you're petty, jealous, vain, greedy, that you create about you. That is the society in which we live. So it seems to me, before we set out on the journey to find reality, to find God, before we can act, before we can have any relationship with another, which is society, surely it is essential that we should begin to understand ourselves first. And I consider an earnest person is he who is completely concerned with that first, and not how to arrive at a particular goal. Because if you and I do not understand ourselves, how can we, in action, bring about a transformation in society, in relationship, in anything that we do? And it does not mean, obviously, that that self-knowledge is opposed or isolated from relationship. It does not mean, obviously, emphasis on the individual, the me, as opposed to the mass, as opposed to another. I do not know if any of you have seriously undertaken to study yourself, watching every word and its responses, watching every movement of thought and feeling, just watching it. Being conscious of your bodily responses, whether you act from your physical centers or whether you act from an idea. How you respond to the world conditions. I do not know if you have ever seriously gone into this question at all. Perhaps some of you have. Sporadically, as a last resort, when everything has failed, or bored, you try this. Now, to really go into this question, of knowing yourself,